So lately I've been hearing a lot of frustrated creators thinking that YouTube's algorithm has put shadow bans on channels. And what that basically means is that they're just going to suppress who they're going to show the videos to, if at all. And so if you are thinking that, I am going to give you 3 different things that you can check in your analytics. This is going to determine if you in fact have been shadow banned. I'm going to go out on a limb here and say you probably have not been shadow banned, but we're going to find out. All right. And so here's the very first thing that we need to understand. Well, we have to look at this. Have you posted content that was controversial? Have you put out content that you've gotten flagged? If that's the case, then yeah, you might have been shadow banned. Although we can still check and see if YouTube has suppressed everything on you. But you have to ask yourself that honest question. Have you done something that you believe could have been against the terms of service? But let's just say that everything is above board and everything you've been creating has been fine. Here's the very first thing that you need to look at. After you post a video, in the first 24 hours, I want you to look at your impressions. Now, if you don't know where that is, you go into your analytics, look at the very top, and you're going to see a reach tab. You're going to click on the reach tab, and you're going to look at your impressions. Now, you might go there and see that you have 100 impressions. Maybe you have 400 impressions. Maybe you have 1,000 impressions. But if you have 1,000 impressions, you're going to be getting some views. Now, if you don't know what the difference is, an impression just means that your video was displayed in someone's home feed or in a suggested recommendation from YouTube. That's all that means. But it means that YouTube served it up. It doesn't mean anybody's clicked on it yet. We'll get to that here in a second. Okay, so that's the very first thing that you need to look at is impressions. That's going to tell the story. Now, if you tell me you've gotten 0 impressions in 24 hours, there's a chance there could be something wrong with your account. Whether it's a shadow ban, whatever, you might want to reach out to YouTube support and ask, why am I not getting any impressions? But I have not seen an account right now that's gotten 0 impressions unless they've made a violation on their account or on their content. So that's the very first thing. We want to look at the impressions. Now, here's what I want you to do next. When you're in your analytics, after your video has been published for 24 hours, I want you to hover, and now I'm doing this in desktop, by the way, okay? If you're in desktop, you're not gonna be doing this on mobile, you're gonna do this on desktop. You're gonna go into the studio and you're gonna just hover your mouse over top of the impressions little graph, the little bar. And you're just gonna see, okay, I got 100 impressions, then it went to 125 impressions, then it went to 300 impressions, and then you might notice at hour 4, you got 600 impressions. And you got a little bit of a lift because YouTube started to test that video. That right there alone should tell you if your account has been shadow banned. And what I mean by that is if you're shadow banned, you shouldn't be getting any impressions. 0. So, okay, now let's talk about what can we do if we are getting impressions, but we're not getting the views. Well, now here's the next thing that you have to check. You have to look at your click-through rate. Your click-through rate is going to tell the story of, okay, your video got an impression. Okay, we already looked at that. But now, did it get any clicks? That's where the view comes in. And then let's say that you did get a click. What is that click-through rate? It might only be, I don't know, a 1% or a 2%. Well, that could be a problem. But before you overreact, if you have little impressions, if you only have 100 impressions and you got a 1% click-through rate, we really can't base anything off of that because that actually is a very low amount of data. So we would want to just let that run, okay? But if you got 1,000 impressions or 2,000 impressions and your click-through rate is a 1%, we might want to tweak that a little bit. We might want to say, you know what, let's go ahead and let's change the thumbnail. But let me also go back to the impressions now. If you have not gotten more than, let's say, 200 impressions in the first 24 hours, it might be a good time to change the title. Because the title is what's going to allow you to get impressions. So going back to the impressions, and if you're shadow banned or any of that, if your title does not have the keywords in it that can tell the algorithm what the video is about and who it should be served up to, then the algorithm can't do its job and give you impressions. So that would be the first thing. That I tell you, so many people struggle with the titles. The title is everything, because the title is what gives the impressions, because it's signaling the algorithm to, hey, this video is about this. Let's find an audience on this. I mean, we just had a video the other day that didn't do that great. And the reason why? Title. So we try to go in and revive it, but the crazy thing is nowadays in 2026, in that first 24 hours, if your title hasn't done its job, it might not get picked up again. Now, if you struggle with titles, I've talked about this before here on this channel. I dig deep into titles. We actually have a swipe file that we created for ourselves where we templatized all of our outlier titles. We put it into 10 of our top, and we basically put it into a swipe file. If you'd like to get a copy of that, there's 10 of our outlier titles. Some of these have gotten hundreds of thousands of views. If you'd like that, just comment hooks down below and I'll send it to you. And you can literally plug in your niche, and this will give you at least an advantage in the algorithm because it's going to have a proven title that's already worked. Obviously, you have to put in your niche. All right. So if you want that, just comment hooks down below. All right. So now that we've established that the impressions are coming from the title, but also that allows us to know if we've been shadow banned, which if you're getting impressions, you have not. All right. And now we get to measure the impressions against the click-through rate. And if the click-through rate isn't doing that well with a decent amount of impressions, and my rule of thumb is generally like at least 1,000, but I would say 2,000 impressions before I would do any adjustments to a thumbnail. But now let's just say that, yeah, your click-through rate is pretty good. Let's say it's a 5% or a 6%, but you're still, seeing that your views are not coming in. Well, the next thing we need to look at is the audience retention. And this is a really, really big thing in 2026. And we've been studying this a lot in our analytics. And that is, we want a high retention rate. In the first 30 seconds, we want to be above like 68%. And where you can find this, if you don't know where to find it, I'll walk you through it right here. You can pause this video and go find it. If you want to do that, come back and tell me what yours is on your last video. But all you do is you go into the analytics of that video, you go into overview, and then you scroll down and you're going to be able to see the audience retention, and you'll see it'll probably say, well, hopefully it'll say something above 50%, but 65 to 70% is what we're shooting for. And then we know that in the first 30 seconds, we held retention for 65 to 70%. We've had some recently doing these ones outside that get really high retention rate. We're talking over 75%. But that's just because it's a different scenery and we're moving around a little bit. So there's things that you can do to improve that. But the point here is that that's another thing that YouTube is looking at. They're like, okay, we gave them impressions. We see that they got a good click-through rate. People are going there, but then when they go there, they don't stay and they leave. That basically shows YouTube, well, we gave them impressions, they got a click, but the people didn't stick around. So whatever the people clicked on, they didn't really think that it was worth sticking around. So they're not going to continue to push that video. They're not going to continue to give you impressions. And in 2026, that's just the name of the game, is you have to, number one, get impressions by having a good title. You have to have good click-through rate. And 3, you have to have good retention. If you don't have those in the first 24 to 36 hours, the videos generally are just going to flatline and they're going to get put kind of on like the slow burn shelf. Now, the other thing to do is look at your impressions on a video that might be 30 days old and see if it's still getting some impressions, even if it's only getting 100 impressions a day. If it is, well, that means that YouTube is still slowly promoting that. They're just not going to promote it as aggressively as they did in the first 24 hours. The first 24 hours is like the holy grail. Like you have to try to win the 24-hour game now. It never used to be that way, but that is the way it is now, unfortunately. But we have to work with it. So we need a good title. We need to have a good thumbnail so we get a good click-through rate, and then we have to have good retention. So as you can see, the analytics, extremely important. They're so important that I actually shot another video where I walk you through 4 different metrics that I always look at the minute the video goes live, all the way through on that first 24 hours. I'm gonna pop it up on the screen here. Go ahead and watch that one next. I'm telling you right now, it'll be worth your time, because once you understand the analytics, you can adjust and tweak your next video for a better chance of the algorithm giving it a little bit more love. Watch that video next, and I'll see you there.